is going on? Back, Dave Confused. We made it. We're in 2020 now. Brand new year. Anything can happen. And I just want to say thank you for sticking with me through 2019. The 7 or 8 or 9 months or whatever I started this channel ago in 2019. I've had just, people hanging out in my channel and checking stuff out, so I dig it. I dig it for sure. Okay, so let's talk horror movies of 2019. Now, 2019 was almost like the year for remakes right now. So many remakes came out from like 80s and 90s horror movies. Some good, some bad. And that's what we're here to kind of talk about today. Now, I'm not just going to focus specifically on just remakes. I'm just kind of talking about horror movies of 2019 in general. And I'm going to talk about 2 of my favorite ones and 2 of my least favorite ones of 2019. And I totally expect for you guys to give me hell about all my choices and opinions, and I want you to leave it in the comments and tell me how right I am or how wrong I am. Because that's what this is. This is a discussion. So, just a heads up, and I hope you would know this by now. Spoiler alert, I am going to talk about things in these movies. They've been out for a little while, but still, if you haven't seen them, I do suggest go watch all these movies, even though I wasn't a fan of them, because you may end up liking them. But there are going to be spoilers for some of the movies in this video. So, now you know. And knowing is half the battle. Okay, so let's talk about one of my dislikes first, and that was the Child's Play remake. I did already do a video review on this movie, and you should go check that out in my channel. But the reason I'm bringing it up now is because I found that it was so far away from the original movies that it's kind of based off of, that it just didn't feel like a Child's Play movie. It was just so differently done, and that's why I think it made this list of my disappointments, because I was so jacked for this movie, because the original Child's Play movies were so good and iconic, and I felt after the It remake, they have the chance to make this amazing remake for this franchise, and it just did not hit the bar. Like I said, taking the original Chucky, who was like this black magic serial killer trapped in a doll's body, wreaking havoc, trying to obtain another human body again, that to me makes a really good horror movie. The new Child's Play, where it's just this robotic AI doll that just has no safety precautions and learns how to kill watching horror movies and thinks that's what his owner wants. To me, it's just like almost like a really crappy Terminator remake. It just didn't hit the bar, and I know the bar was set high with the remakes, but I was definitely disappointed.
Come on, we need to get you out of here.
Alright, let's talk about one of the movies I really did like this year. And that movie is 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. Why I like this movie? Because it's a cheesy, corny shark movie. And you know me, I love horror shark movies. I grew up watching Discovery Channel with my dad, and Shark Week was one of our favorite times of the year. And we'd be glued to the television watching Shark Week. Sharks are these actually very majestic, beautiful creatures that live in the ocean, but they're so deadly and dangerous when they want to be that putting them in a horror movie is just like peanut butter and jelly. Boom. It just works. But I find when it comes to a shark movie, if you take it too seriously, chances are it doesn't work out. Jaws was a very serious shark movie, and it worked out. Jaws 2, 3, and 4 were serious shark movies that didn't work out, right? Then you have movies like Meg, who is based on the Megalodon, which is a dinosaur shark. That it was a cheesy, really cheesy shark movie, and it was awesome. 47 Meters Down, Uncaged is the sequel to 47 Meters Down. Both good, cheesy shark movies that I totally suggest you go see. My favorite thing about these movies are you have those scenes where you know something bad is going to happen. Like, it's inevitable, and you know exactly who it's going to happen to. But when it does, it gives you that overall feeling that, like, oh no type feeling, right? When a shark jumps up and bites somebody, it's just, you know, it gives you the same feeling of when, like, Freddy Krueger appears in someone's dream and grabbles them up, you know? Or Jason pulls out his machete and, like, cuts someone in half. Like, you get that same feeling from these, like, corny shark attacks. So that's why I really, really enjoyed 47 Meters Down, Uncaged. Okay, let's go to another movie that I was not a fan of. And this is another remake, and it is Pet Semetary. Again, this remake, I think, is another case of just mistaken identity. You know, this was one of Stephen King's best novels and another amazing movie. But the remake just felt overly dark to a point where it was unneeded. I didn't mind so much the changes that they did to the story, like instead of like the younger baby boy being the one that was, you know, hit by a truck and became a zombie after and everything, right? They chose the daughter, and I understand why, because the actress was a little older and she could portray this much more creepier character. And another thing that I did like about this movie is John Lithgow. I love the actor John Lithgow. Whatever he does, comedy, drama, horror, he's amazing at it. But even his presence to me didn't save this movie. I just found this movie was just not a remake. Like, I think they almost like the idea was the same, but I feel this wasn't a remake of Pet Semetary. This was just like a darker copycat. It's ironic I use copycat because there's a creepy cat in this movie, but you know, and then they changed the ending and stuff, and it just, like I said, it was overly dark. Like, it was one of those movies you leave after watching and you're like, almost like eating like 3 burgers from McDonald's. You're like, oh, this was just a bad decision. Like, I shouldn't have eaten these burgers, but I paid for them and I committed. So, and I'm not a quitter, so I'm gonna eat them. You know, that's how this movie made me feel, like eating McDonald's. Sorry.
What is it?
So on to the last movie that I really liked, and obviously you're probably going to be like, yeah, we know you like this movie, was It Part 2. I found that this was such a good sequel to the first remake, and even to like the originals. They kept a lot of the things the same, but there were some huge changes in it, but they worked out. Like, the way they changed the story just worked. And you know what, like, Pennywise in like the 80s or whatever, when the first one came out, where he turned into a big spider, very cool. You know, at the time I got it. But they knew that wouldn't hold on, it wouldn't go over with fans today, so they did have to change the ending. And what an ending they changed it to. Like, it was so good. I don't want to give too much away from it because I want you to watch this movie, but the ending is not what you expected. There was always this kind of lingering feeling in part 2 of the original about the character Stan and him committing suicide. they definitely touched on that a little more in the remake, and they kind of gave him a different reason than just being so scared, right? So it wasn't necessarily fear of Pennywise why exactly he felt he needed to do what he did, but like I said, I don't want to give it away, but it was a positive spin on such a negative aspect to this movie. So, like I said, there's so many reasons why I thought It Part 2 was just amazing as a movie in itself. But that's one of my top picks for 2019.
Hey,
What are you doing here?
I'm gonna get you out of here. No. Please.
Well, there you go. Those are two of the goods and two of the bads, in my opinion, of 2019. Now, I know there's movies I missed that came out in 2019 that were good, like the Annabelle movie was awesome. The list goes on. There's tons of them, and I get it. I just wanted to use those 4 movies because I thought that they proved my points throughout my reviews the best. And I am going to continue making movie reviews in 2020, and I'm also going to talk about which movies I think you should be watching and which movies I think you could just forget about. You know what I mean? Like, you may not need them. You may not need them in your life, and I get that because you're busy. You have a lot going on, and I respect that. And leave in the comments below your favorite horror movies of 2019 or your least favorite horror movies of 2019. Or just your best and worst horror movies in general. What you watch, what you want people to avoid. Gabby keeps coming up to me and bugging me while I'm trying to film, and I have to keep redoing lines. If you want to be on camera, Gabby, just ask and I can put you on camera. Such a drama queen, this one. Anyway, this is Dave Confused. Thank you so much for stopping by, and at least our dogs are werewolves.